Welcome to Sleepy Stories, the place where stories aren't meant to be finished. I'm Arthur, and tonight I'll be reading you a relaxing sleepy story written by Pumby. We're about to enter a moonlit garden where time moves differently and peace settles over everything like dew. Let your body sink deeper into comfort. There's nowhere you need to be, nothing you need to do. Just listen and let go. The garden gate appears before you as twilight fades into something softer. Wrought iron, painted white long ago, now weathered to a gentle cream that glows faintly in the emerging moonlight. Your hand reaches for the latch, cool metal against your palm. It opens without sound, swinging inward on hinges that seem to know the value of silence. You step through. Immediately, the air changes. It's cooler here, fragrant with night-blooming jasmine and something else you can't quite name. Sweet, but not cloying. Fresh like rain that fell hours ago and left everything renewed. The path beneath your feet is smooth stone, each piece fitted perfectly to the next, creating a walkway that winds deeper into this secret place. Above you, the moon hangs full and luminous, not the harsh white of midday sun, but a softer silver that makes everything it touches look like it's been dipped in mercury. Shadows fall gently here. They don't conceal, they embrace. Every leaf, every petal, every blade of grass seems to glow with its own quiet light. To your left, tall hollyhocks stand like sentinels. Their blooms, closed now for evening, will open again tomorrow. But tonight they rest, and in their resting they invite you to do the same. Their leaves rustle occasionally, though there's barely any breeze. Just enough movement to remind you that this place is alive, breathing in its own peaceful rhythm. The path curves. You follow it naturally, your footsteps finding their own unhurried pace. There's no destination here, no end point you're racing toward. Just this, one step, then another, with the moonlight guiding you forward into deeper calm. A fountain comes into view. Water spills from a stone basin in the centre, falling in a continuous stream that catches the moonlight and transforms it into liquid silver. The sound is hypnotic. Not loud, never demanding your attention, but present enough that you can focus on it when you choose. Each droplet that falls creates tiny ripples, concentric circles spreading outward before disappearing into the pool below. You move closer. The fountain is old, covered in soft moss that cushions the stone. Someone carved intricate patterns into it once, swirls and spirals that your eyes can trace but never quite finish before they loop back to where they started. Around the base, small flowers grow wild, white petals that seem to gather moonlight and hold it. Sitting on the fountain's edge, the stone is surprisingly warm beneath you. It absorbed the day's sun and now releases it slowly. A gentle heat that soothes without overwhelming. You trail your fingers through the water, cold but refreshingly so, crisp and clean and alive. The garden stretches in all directions, but you're not concerned with its boundaries. Gardens like this don't really have edges anyway. They simply fade into possibility, into whatever comes next. Here, in this moment, there's only this fountain, this moonlight, this perfect stillness that asks nothing of you. A night bird calls somewhere distant, not an owl's hoot, but something softer. A dove, perhaps, settling into sleep. The sound carries across the garden and fades, leaving the quiet even more profound than before. Beyond the fountain, you notice a pergola draped in flowering vines. Wisteria, their purple blooms now grey in the moonlight, hanging in long clusters like grapes made of silk. The wooden structure beneath them is sturdy, built to last, built to support the weight of growing things that reach always upward toward light. You stand, leaving the fountain behind, drawn toward this covered walkway. Your feet know the way even though you've never been here before. This garden exists outside normal geography. It's not found on maps. It simply is, and right now, it's yours. Under the pergola, the moonlight filters through leaves and flowers, creating patterns on the ground that shift almost imperceptibly. Light and shadow, dancing together in perfect partnership. The air here smells different again, sweeter, richer, with layers you could spend hours unravelling if you wanted to. But you don't want to analyse. You want only to experience, to let sensation wash over you without grasping at it. Benches line the pergola at intervals. Weathered wood, smooth from years of use, positioned perfectly for contemplation. You could sit, you could continue walking. Both choices feel equally right because in this garden there are no wrong turns. The path emerges from the other side of the pergola and continues onward. Ahead you can just make out what looks like a small grove of trees. Their branches create a canopy that blocks even the generous moonlight, promising a deeper darkness beyond. But it's not a threatening darkness. It's the darkness of closed eyes, of rest, of letting the world fade away into dreams. Something about that grove calls to you. A whisper that isn't quite sound, a pull that isn't quite physical. Just a gentle knowing that what lies ahead is exactly where you need to be. The garden has been preparing you for this, each step bringing you closer to the heart of its peace. You move forward, leaving the pergola behind, following the stone path as it leads you toward the waiting trees. Welcome to Sleepy Stories, the place where stories aren't meant to be finished. I'm Arthur, and tonight I'll be reading you a relaxing, sleepy story written by Pumby. We're continuing our journey through a moonlit garden, a place of profound peace where time moves differently and every step draws you deeper into tranquility. Let yourself settle in, release the day's tensions, and allow this garden to work its gentle magic. The grove welcomes you with silence so complete it feels almost tangible. You can sense it on your skin like velvet, soft and encompassing. The trees here are ancient, their trunks thick and gnarled with age, bark rough beneath your palm when you reach out to touch them. They've stood here for longer than memory, patient witnesses to countless nights like this one. Between their branches the moonlight struggles to penetrate. Only scattered fragments make it through, creating pools of silver on the moss-covered ground. The darkness here isn't empty though. It's full of presence, of life moving quietly about its business. The rustle of small creatures in the underbrush. The whisper of leaves speaking to each other in a language older than words. Your eyes adjust gradually. Shapes emerge from shadow. The path continues, narrower now, winding between massive roots that rise from the earth like the backs of sleeping dragons. You step carefully, but there's no danger here. This grove protects those who enter with peaceful intent. Somewhere ahead water sounds again, not the fountain's gentle trickle, but something broader, a stream perhaps, moving with purpose through the heart of the grove. The sound draws you forward, a liquid melody that harmonises with your breathing. The trees begin to thin, not suddenly, but with the same gradual progression that brought you into their depths. Light increases incrementally, moonbeams finding more gaps to slip through. And then the grove opens into a clearing you hadn't expected. A stream cuts through the centre, wider than you imagined from the sound alone. Perhaps 10 feet across, its water moving steadily over smooth stones that gleam beneath the surface. The banks are gentle slopes covered in grass so soft it might be moss, so green it holds colour even in monochrome moonlight. On the far side, a willow tree drapes its branches into the water. They sway with the current, creating ripples that catch and scatter light in hypnotic patterns. The willow seems to be dancing, a slow, deliberate movement that matches the rhythm of the stream itself. You approach the water's edge and crouch down. The stream is clear enough to see the bottom, to count the stones if you wanted. But counting feels wrong here. Numbers have no place in this garden. Everything simply exists in its own perfect measure. Cupping your hands, you dip them into the stream. The cold is shocking at first, then invigorating. You bring the water to your face, letting it drip through your fingers onto your skin. It traces paths down your cheeks, your neck, each droplet a tiny reminder that you're alive, present, here in this moment that asks nothing more of you than awareness. Stepping stones cross the stream, at intervals, placed by hands unknown, at times forgotten. They're spaced perfectly for your stride, as though whoever set them knew you'd come eventually. You step onto the first stone, solid, unmoving, trustworthy, then the second, the third, making your way across with the water flowing beneath you. Midway across you pause. Below, small fish dart between shadows. They move as one, a school turning and wheeling with perfect coordination. Their scales catch occasional light, flashing silver, then disappearing again into darkness. They're unbothered by your presence, continuing their endless patrol of the stream's length. The far bank rises slightly as you complete your crossing. Here the willow's canopy creates a sheltered space, a natural room with walls of hanging branches and a ceiling of leaves that filter moonlight into something softer still. Beneath the willow, the grass is thick and inviting. You settle there, your back against the tree's trunk. The bark is surprisingly smooth for a tree this old, worn perhaps by others who've rested here before you. The willow's branches move around you like curtains in a gentle breeze, creating a private space within the larger garden. From this vantage point, you can see back across the stream to the grove you emerged from. It looks different from here, less dense somehow, more welcoming. The garden reveals itself in layers, each perspective offering new understanding without words. Above, through gaps in the willow's canopy, stars emerge. Not many, just enough to remind you of the vast sky beyond this sheltered place. They pulse faintly, their light travelling years to reach your eyes in this exact moment. Ancient light meeting present darkness, creating something neither could achieve alone. Your breathing has slowed without you noticing. Deep, even breaths that match the stream's rhythm. The willows sway, the garden's heartbeat. Everything here moves together in synchrony, so natural it seems impossible it was ever separate. The night deepens around you, not growing darker but becoming more itself. More night, more peace, more of whatever quality makes this place different from the world you left behind. Time continues its strange behaviour, stretching and condensing until minutes might be hours, or hours might be minutes, and it doesn't matter either way. Something else stirs in the garden beyond your willow sanctuary. Not a threat, never a threat, but a presence moving with intention. Footsteps perhaps, or the wind taking shape, or simply the garden rearranging itself as gardens do when no one's watching. You could investigate. You could stay beneath the willow forever. Both options shimmer with possibility, waiting for you to choose or not choose, to act or simply be. Welcome to Sleepy Stories, the place where stories aren't meant to be finished. I'm Arthur, and tonight I'll be reading you a relaxing, sleepy story written by Pumby. We continue our journey through a moonlit garden where time moves differently and peace grows like the flowers around us. Let your body sink deeper into comfort as we wander further into this tranquil space. You choose neither to investigate nor to stay. Instead, you simply allow the moment to unfold as it will, trusting the garden to reveal what needs revealing. The willow branches part slightly, moved by something more than wind, and through the gap you glimpse a path you hadn't noticed before. It wasn't hidden exactly, more like it didn't exist until this precise moment when you were ready to see it. Rising from your resting place beneath the willow feels effortless, as though the tree itself is lifting you gently upward. Your legs hold you without strain, your body moving with the fluid ease of water flowing downhill. The path calls to you not with urgency, but with quiet invitation, the way morning light suggests rather than demands that you wake. This new path is different from the ones before, narrower, more intimate, bordered on both sides by plants you don't recognise, but somehow know are friendly. Their leaves brush against your arms as you pass, soft touches like fingertips trailing across fabric. Each contact sends tiny ripples of calm through your skin, as though the plants are sharing their stillness directly with you. The air here tastes different, sweeter perhaps, or maybe just more concentrated, as if you're breathing the essence of nighttime itself. Each inhalation fills your lungs with something more than oxygen, some quality that makes your shoulders drop and your jaw unclench without conscious effort. You hadn't realized you were holding tension until it began releasing, dissolving into the garden air like sugar into warm tea. Ahead, the path opens into a clearing smaller than the grove you left behind, but somehow feeling larger, more expansive. The ground here is covered in moss, so thick it might be carpet, so soft your footsteps make no sound. In the clearing's centre stands a fountain, though not the elaborate stone kind you'd find in formal gardens. This one is simple, natural, as if water simply decided to pool here and spill over rocks of its own accord. The fountain's sound joins a symphony of night noises you've grown accustomed to. Water over stone, leaves rustling, distant bird calls, your own breathing. They weave together into something that isn't quite music, but carries melody nonetheless. You approach the fountain's edge, drawn by the way moonlight plays across the water's surface, creating patterns that shift and reform endlessly. Kneeling beside the fountain, you notice the water is perfectly clear. You can see every pebble lining the bottom, every ripple's shadow, every tiny detail illuminated by light that seems to come from the water itself, rather than reflecting from above. The stones at the bottom are smooth, worn round by patient water over patient time, each one a different shade of grey or brown or cream. You cup your hands and dip them into the fountain. The water is neither cold nor warm, but precisely the temperature of your skin, so that for a moment you can't tell where you end and the water begins. You bring your hands to your lips and drink. The taste is clean, pure, like water from a mountain spring that's never known pollution or pipes or treatment. It satisfies a thirst you didn't know you had, filling some emptiness that has nothing to do with your body. Sitting back on your heels, you notice small flowers growing around the fountain's perimeter. They're white, luminous in the darkness, their petals closed for the night, but still radiating a gentle glow. Night-blooming jasmine, perhaps, or moonflowers, or some species that exists only in gardens, like this one, where the normal rules don't quite apply. The moss beneath you is so comfortable, you find yourself lying back, looking up at the sky framed by the clearing's edges. More stars have emerged since you last checked, or maybe you're just seeing them better now, your eyes fully adjusted to the darkness that isn't dark at all, but rather a different kind of light. A shooting star streaks across your field of vision, then another. Not a meteor shower exactly, just enough celestial movement to remind you the universe is vast and you're small, and somehow both facts are deeply comforting. You don't make wishes. The garden has already given you everything you need. Time does its elastic thing again. You might lie there for seconds or centuries. The fountain continues its quiet song. The flowers maintain their vigil. The stars wheel overhead in their ancient patterns. Everything in its place. Everything exactly as it should be. When you eventually sit up, feeling refreshed in ways sleep doesn't usually accomplish, you notice another path leading from the clearing. This one is wider, more established, as though many feet have walked it before yours. It curves away between hedges that rise just high enough to guide without confining, suggesting direction while leaving you free to choose. The fountain's water continues its endless circulation behind you as you stand and face this new path. Somewhere along it, you sense, lies another discovery waiting. Not a destination, exactly, because gardens like this don't have destinations, only moments strung together like pearls on an invisible thread. You take the first step onto this wider path. The hedges embrace you on both sides, their leaves whispering secrets in a language just beyond comprehension. Welcome to Sleepy Stories, the place where stories aren't meant to be finished. I'm Arthur, and tonight I'll be reading you a relaxing, sleepy story written by Pumby. We continue our nighttime walk through an enchanted garden where time moves differently and every step brings new wonders. Let your breathing slow, your muscles soften as we wander deeper into this peaceful sanctuary. The path beneath your feet changes texture as you walk, becoming softer somehow, as though each paving stone has been wrapped in velvet. The hedges on either side grow denser, their leaves creating walls of deep green that absorb sound and hold silence like a precious thing. You run your fingers along one hedge as you pass, feeling the cool, waxy surface of individual leaves, each one perfect in its ordinariness. A sweet fragrance drifts toward you, not the jasmine from before, but something richer, more complex. Honeysuckle maybe, mixed with night-blooming tobacco flowers and something else you can't quite name. The scent grows stronger as you continue, drawing you forward without urgency, simply suggesting that something lovely awaits ahead. The path opens suddenly into another space, different from the clearing with the fountain. This area is structured, geometric, clearly designed by human hands, yet softened by years of growth. A rose garden spreads before you, laid out in patterns that please the eye without demanding attention. Beds of roses, in varying heights, create depth and dimension. Even in darkness they're visible, their blooms ranging from white to cream to the palest pink. Colours that catch and hold what little light exists. In the centre stands a gazebo, octagonal, its posts wrapped in climbing roses that have long since claimed the structure as their own. The wood looks weathered but solid, silvered by time and moonlight. Steps lead up to a floor scattered with fallen petals, soft as down beneath your feet as you climb. Inside the gazebo, a bench runs along three sides, cushioned with padding that gives beneath your weight when you sit. The roses growing up the posts fill the space with their perfume, not overwhelming but present, a constant gentle reminder of beauty. Through the open sides you can see the garden stretching away in all directions, beds and pathways creating patterns that shift as shadows move. You lean back against the cushions, letting the gazebo hold you. Above, the roof is open in the centre, a circle of sky visible through the gap. More stars than you've ever seen cluster there, so many they blur together into rivers of light. You've read that ancient peoples saw pictures in the stars, connected dots into heroes and animals and myths. Tonight you see only light, pure and simple, each point a sun impossibly far away, impossibly ancient, its light travelling years to reach your eyes in this moment. Something rustles in the roses, not threatening, just present. A bird perhaps, settling for the night, or a small creature going about its nocturnal business. The garden is alive in ways beyond the obvious, full of tiny dramas and quiet routines that continue whether you witness them or not. Your breathing has synced with some rhythm in the garden itself, the slight breeze moving through the roses, the distant sound of water, fainter now but still audible. Your chest rises and falls without effort, without thought, as natural as waves reaching shore. How long you sit there is impossible to measure. The stars wheel overhead, their positions shifting in ways too subtle to notice moment to moment, but undeniable over time. The temperature remains perfect, neither warm nor cool, as though the garden maintains its own climate, independent of the world beyond its walls. Eventually you notice another detail. Between two rose beds, almost hidden by shadows, another path emerges. This one is narrower than the last, more intimate, barely wide enough for one person. The roses lean over it from both sides, creating a tunnel of blooms and thorns and dark leaves. You can't see where it leads, can't see more than a few feet down its length before darkness and flowers obscure the view. Standing requires effort, not because you're tired, but because the gazebo has become so comfortable. The cushions release you reluctantly, and the wooden floor creaks softly as you cross to the steps. Petals cling to your shoes, coming along for whatever journey comes next. At the entrance to this new path you pause. The roses form an archway here, their canes intertwined overhead, their blooms creating a canopy that filters what little light penetrates the garden's depths. A single petal falls as you watch, drifting down in lazy spirals to land on the path ahead. It glows faintly, marking the way like a breadcrumb in a fairy tale. You duck slightly to pass beneath the rose arch, feeling the flowers brush your hair, your shoulders, welcoming you into this more secret part of the garden. The path is carpeted with fallen petals, creating a surface that muffles your footsteps completely. You move in utter silence, a ghost walking through a dream. The roses press closer here, their thorns visible but somehow never catching, never scratching, as though they recognize you as someone who belongs. Their perfume intensifies in this enclosed space, becoming almost a physical presence, wrapping around you like invisible silk. Ahead, through gaps in the roses, you glimpse something reflecting light. Water again, but different from the fountain. Larger, stiller, holding the stars in its depths. Welcome to Sleepy Stories, the place where stories aren't meant to be finished. I'm Arthur, and tonight I'll be reading you a relaxing, sleepy story written by Pumby. We continue our gentle wandering through an enchanted rose garden at night, where time moves differently and every path leads deeper into tranquility. Let your thoughts drift like petals on water as we discover what waits at the garden's heart. Breathe slowly, settle in, and let the story carry you towards sleep. The path opens suddenly, and the body of water reveals itself completely. A pond perfectly circular, its surface so still it might be polished glass. The roses ring it entirely, their blooms reflected in mirror-perfect detail, creating the illusion of twice as many flowers, a world above and below meeting at an invisible seam. You approach the edge slowly, careful not to disturb the perfection. The water is darker than you expected, holding depth you can't measure, yet the stars reflect so clearly they seem suspended within rather than upon the surface. Lily pads float near the far edge, their broad leaves platforms for closed lotus blossoms waiting for dawn. Smooth stones line the pond's perimeter, their surfaces worn by water and time into perfect ovals. You lower yourself onto one, finding it still warm from yesterday's sun, heat stored and slowly released into the cool night. The stone fits your body as though shaped for this exact purpose, cradling you as you settle. From this vantage point, the entire garden becomes visible. The paths you've walked wind between rose beds in patterns that finally make sense, spirals and curves leading inevitably here, to this central point. The gazebo rises in the distance, its white structure ghostly among darker foliage. The fountain sings its quiet song, notes carrying clearly across the still air. A fish breaks the surface near the pond's centre. Just a ripple, a brief disturbance that sends concentric circles expanding outward, distorting the reflected stars into wavering lines of light. The circles reach the edge where you sit, lapping gently against stone, before dissipating completely. The surface returns to glass. You notice a small wooden dock extending a short distance over the water, its planks silvered with age and moonlight. It wasn't visible from the path, hidden by the angle and the roses, but now it beckons. You rise from your stone seat and walk to where it begins. The dock feels solid beneath your feet despite its obvious age. No creaking, no sense of instability, just worn wood that has supported countless visitors before you. 3 steps carry you to its end, where the pond opens before you on 3 sides. Sitting here, legs dangling above the water, you feel suspended between elements, earth behind, water below, air surrounding, and somewhere in the mixture, something else, peace perhaps, or the absence of everything that isn't peace. The distinction doesn't matter. Your reflection gazes up from the pond's surface, features softened by darkness and distance. Behind your reflected face, stars scatter across the water sky, and rose blooms glow like captured moons. You look different here, younger somehow, or maybe just unburdened. The face in the water wears an expression of complete calm you're not sure you've ever seen in any mirror. Time continues its strange behaviour. Minutes might be passing, or hours. The stars suggest movement, their positions gradually shifting, but you can't be certain whether you're imagining it. Your body has entered a state beyond relaxation, something closer to dissolution, as though the boundaries between you and the garden are becoming negotiable. A breeze stirs, the first real wind you've felt since entering. It moves across the pond's surface, creating patterns that ripple outward from no obvious source. The roses sway in response, thousands of blooms nodding in unison, releasing a fresh wave of perfume that rolls over you like warm water. You lie back on the dock, arms spread, gazing straight up. The sky has become even more crowded with stars, or perhaps your eyes have adjusted to see what was always there. The Milky Way stretches overhead, a river of light flowing through darkness, each bright point a sun with its own planets, its own stories, its own gardens perhaps where other dreamers lie on other docks watching other skies. Your eyelids grow heavy, weighted with satisfaction rather than tiredness. Each blink lasts longer than the one before, the darkness behind closed lids becoming more inviting than the star-filled sky. The dock supports you perfectly, the wood's warmth seeping into your back, shoulders, legs, dissolving the last traces of tension. The garden sounds weave together into a lullaby, water lapping stone, roses rustling, distant fountain singing, breeze moving through leaves, your own breathing, deep and even, adding its rhythm to the symphony. Everything harmonizes, nothing clashes, all of it conspiring to pull you deeper into tranquility. You let yourself drift, not quite sleeping, but no longer fully awake. The garden holds you suspended in that perfect in-between space where dreams begin to leak into reality, where thoughts become images, where the boundary between experiencing and imagining dissolves completely. The roses continue their vigil, blooming endlessly in the darkness. The pond reflects infinity in its depths. The stars wheel overhead on their ancient paths, and you, cradled by wood and water and night air, surrounded by beauty that asks nothing except that you rest, finally release your grip on wakefulness and slip into the deep, peaceful sleep that has been waiting for you since the moment you entered through the garden gate. The dock holds you in perfect stillness, the garden cradling you like a parent soothing a restless child. Everything you've encountered tonight, the winding paths, the fountains, the willow by the stream, the rose-covered gazebo, this tranquil pond, has been leading to this moment of complete surrender. Your breathing has become so slow, so effortless, that you've stopped noticing it altogether. The garden breathes for you now, its rhythm your rhythm, its peace your peace. The stars above blur softly as your eyes refuse to focus, content to see only light and shadow, the essential shapes of things rather than their details. The water beneath the dock whispers secrets in a language older than words, not about anything important, not revelations or wisdom, just the quiet reassurance that everything continues, everything flows, everything returns. The pond has been here for years, will be here for years more, patient and eternal in ways that make human concerns seem beautifully small. A final petal falls from the roses, drifting down in spirals to land on the water's surface, beside your dock. It floats there, a small boat on a vast sea, its journey complete. Like that petal, you've travelled through the garden to arrive exactly where you needed to be. The night deepens around you one last time, not into darkness, but into something richer, more complete. The kind of night that holds rather than frightens, that offers rest rather than restlessness. Your body has forgotten how to hold tension. Your mind has forgotten how to grasp at thoughts. You simply exist, present and peaceful, held by the garden that exists now, only in the space between waking and dreaming. The roses bloom endlessly in the darkness. The pond reflects infinity. The stars continue their ancient dance. And you, finally, completely, let yourself fall into the deep and dreamless sleep that has been waiting since the moment you opened the garden gate and stepped through into this moonlit sanctuary where time moves differently and peace grows like flowers in the dark.